talking a lot about women and development, women economics. I would like you to invert the we right now and make it to me. Under normal circumstances, we take life for granted. When things go well, we are happy. And only when things go wrong do we ponder what happened, why me? And this is what I want you to focus on now, because research says that during stress, we go back to our natural behaviors. And if we work too much under stress, it leads to a lot of emotional, physical, social problems. Now, why am I talking about this? Because when things are okay as women, we do not think about ourselves. But as this pandemic or any stressful situation that we face, it actually makes us ponder what happened, why it happened, what is happening to me. And Dr. Lopa also was sharing a lot of experiences where when things go wrong, we start pondering. So why reach a level like that and then start thinking what next? So during pandemic or any stressful situation, our buttons are pressed, our trigger points get displayed, and at times the kind of behavior that we want to depict is not actually depicted. We feel out of control, we feel upset. Pandemic being only one such situation, but there could be any trigger point in our lives. It could be a marital problem, it could be a relationship issue, it could be a stress situation at work. The idea is, how do we deal with this? And today I have a group of eminent panelists with me who are going to talk about social, economic, and cultural welfare. When we start with the very basic pillar of physical health, we have Dr. Geeta with us, and Dr. Geeta Nagraj is a senior consultant surgical oncologist, and she would be sharing her views about physical health, which is the basic pillar we start off with. We also have with us Ruchi Mohanta, who's going to talk about emotional health. And emotional health is something that we are still aware of. We move on to Aparna Vishwanathan, who will talk about mental health. And that is a stigma, there's a big, big stigma attached to that. And I would want Aparna to throw a lot of light on that. And of course, the lady who talks financial health for women, we have Sangeeta Somesh with us. Sangeeta will talk how important it is for women to be financially well, if I've used the right word, Sangeeta, to be able to stand in their power and confidence. And the most important and the most often neglected well-being of women, which is spiritual well-being, is going to be spoken about by our panelist Shweta Vij. So, as I am, the question that I have for all of you, and I'm going to introduce you as and when we move, is uh, in uncertain times, how do we deal with uncertainty so that we can handle the pressure, so that in our everyday lives we are not able to, we are able to stand in our power, stand successfully, and be the woman that we want to be and we are. So I will ask Dr. Geeta to talk about how important is physical well-being in this scenario. Dr. Geeta is actually written a lot, is a recipient of many international fellowships and awards, including the Shinju Fuji Young Scientist Award. She actually consults a lot of hospitals in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and she has been an active Rotarian, and also she works with the underprivileged children in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So, Dr. Geeta, the first question is, how important is it for women to stand in their power, and how important is physical well-being for them?
Uh,
Should we move on?
yes, Ms.
We'll
Nandita.
come back to Dr. Geeta. So let's talk about emotional well-being with Ruchi. Ruchi Mohanta is a clarity coach and has been working with young adults and adults undergoing midlife crisis, a very popular term these days, last 2 decades. With diverse background of working in schools, conducting experiential workshops for children, therapy using NLP and CBT methodologies, she has developed her own method of pause, hierarchy, and perform. Using gratitude as an important tool, she has her own transformational journey, especially during a crisis situation, COVID being just one of them. So, Ruchi, my question to you is, how do you stand in your power, and how important is emotional education or emotional awareness for women in particular stand in their power?
I think the very start of the word emotion is about your energy in motion, and that's how you have the word emotion. So if you can become aware of where this energy is going, whether this energy is going in a positive way, which is when we experience positive emotions, or whether this energy is getting more diluted or moving more towards a negative area, which is when we have a negative emotion. So the very start of your day starts with energy. So let's just say, as simple as the minute you wake up in in the morning, your first energy that you feel, are you feeling positive or are you feeling negative? Now by positive I mean, are you feeling charged, excited, happy, awake, joyful, or are you waking up with a grumpiness and a little bit of a dullness and saying, oh, I'm not feeling the best myself? So the very start of your day is completely with your emotions. So I don't think we have even a single fraction of a moment in a day where we can say I'm devoid of an emotion. So
Okay.
therefore, emotional health and emotional well-being, I feel, forms the very basis of the way you are going to proceed all through the day, whether it is going to be towards your your finances, whether it is going to be towards your say your mental health, or whether it is towards spirituality, your physical health. All of that is built on your very basic rubric here, and I think it forms your entire molecular being is of energy. So being aware of your emotions, I think, is a very, very important start to your day. And not, like I said, not a second, a fraction of a second can go without you being in energy. And a lot has been said about the manner in which our bodies are. Our bodies are actually very fast moving energy bodies. So emotions form the very basis of that. So, more about that when I talk more about emotional health. But just as a starting remark to say that energy in motion is your emotion. So, you have to be very, very aware of that. Thank you, Nandita.
Beautiful, Ruchi. I would now like Aparna to add the mental well-being part pillar. And Aparna is an educationist come social entrepreneur who has been working extensively in the socio-emotional learning and well-being space of adults and children. And her passion and love is evident in the large number of individuals, both children and adults, that reach out to her when in need. In fact, she's an independent media contributor and writes editorial columns on creating awareness around mental health, which is a taboo topic, I agree, parenting and relationship issues, and developing compassion, courage, and common sense and care. The four C she holds very close to her heart. So, Aparna, your opening remarks, how important is mental health for the well being of women in particular, and especially when there is a stress
Okay,
situation?
now to begin with mental health, we've been working. See, I moved from a journalism space, and why? Because I felt a lot of women and adults have been going through issues that have never been addressed at the foundational level because of the taboo attached, along with mental health and related topics. So, a lot of times, you realize that you're going through an emotional mental distress only after it surpasses a particular what do I say, stress factor or stress levels. And by then, it might have been a little too late to address it from a point of view of medical or emotional or mental well-being. So we started this organization 10 years ago, primarily to work with your social skill set, emotional skill set that contribute to your larger mental health. Now, mental, how do you actually describe your mental health? It is a consortium or a consolidation of your ecosystem, your family, your upbringing. A lot of factors contribute to your overall mental health, and especially in scenarios like COVID, your social skill set comes very, very evidently into picture as to how are you maintaining your family relationship, your friendship, and your warmth with people around you. So many a times now with COVID, what has happened is we are suddenly thrown into a situation where you feel that nothing is working right for you. So, like Ruchi said, when you wake up with that energy, it starts. I mean, building. I mean, on your not just on your energy levels, but in your mental comprehension too. So, if you go through that energy for, let's say, 10 or 15 days together, then by the third week, you start feeling less of energy. You start feeling, pathetic inside your head, palpitative in your mind, in your thinking, and then it leads to mental distress. Why do people not reach out to a mental health practitioner? Because, like how you would reach out to a physician for a cold or a cough or a fever, you generally don't reach out to a practitioner because of the taboo attached. And the minute you tell a friend or a family that you've reached out to a counselor or a mediation, there comes the usual dialogue. Why do you have to? Everything is going right for you. You have your family, you have your work. Okay, COVID, everyone is going through COVID. So generally, there is these remarks and dialogues that further put pressure on a person to reach out to a mental health practitioner. I think a lot of dialogues, discussions, and awareness need to be done around mental health so that people who are feeling low beyond, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks actually reaches out to a practitioner. Now, I would also, at the same length and breadth, also say that this particular word depression is also misused in mental health scene, because when you're feeling low for a day, then you have this common dialogue coming out that I'm completely depressed. So depression and feeling low for like 1 or 2 days are completely different. So you need to understand the first signs and symptoms of depression, anxiety, and then you reach out to a mental health practitioner. So through this session, I would also like to throw light on the first aid, I mean, mental first aid that we need to practice at home before we reach out to a mental health practitioner. I think that would give us a fair perspective of what is going wrong and when you need to actually reach out to a practitioner. And I think it should be common to say that you're not feeling well when you're not feeling well. You don't have to pretend that you're okay when you're not feeling well. A lot of times I hear people say, yeah, I'm doing good, when you're not, when you're really not. And why do you not actually say that? Because other person would always want the answer, I'm fine, I'm good. You really don't want a person saying that I'm not feeling too good, because then there is a moral responsibility, social responsibility on you to probe further as to what makes you feel so. So there is a social attachment also that comes into picture when it comes to mental health of a person. You can't mentally be all right when you're alone. You need to be surrounded with a support system, which is why we came out with this hashtag also called Together We Can. We can't fight it alone. You need to have people with you who understand it. You need to create awareness. If the people do not understand, you need to create awareness around it and then have people with you. So I think along this session, we will come back to more questions
Yes,
and
I will
more
ask you more
clarity on
about
this.
how do you
Yeah.
identify mental illness and how can you avoid the taboo and people can reach out at the right time. So
Yeah.
I would like to move and ask the same question to Sangeeta right now. Sangeeta creates positive impact through high performance and high as a founder and CEO of Gainastic, Sangeeta is on a mission to enable, empower, and elevate businesses with a purpose to serve entrepreneurs, leaders, and teams to shine and succeed. She brings a rich corporate experience of more than 25 years with multinationals and her latest position as the Executive Director and Chief Financial Officer of Dran& and Bradstreet Technologies. She's a chartered accountant by profession, management accountant, completed executive education from Harvard Business School. She is an author of 2 books, What the Finance and Get High. So, Sangeeta, how important is it to be financially well for women in today's times?
So thanks, Nandita. So before I start, I have a little song for everybody. It goes like this. Humpty Dumpty had a great bash, and Humpty Dumpty was left with no cash. All the professionals and all the craftsmen couldn't put Humpty together again. Right? So that's what happens when there is no enough cash, or when you don't manage your cash well, be it a male or a female. I think your mental peace and your wellness, everything gets affected, because the kind of lifestyle, that one wants to lead, everything gets impacted, and thereby all your other aspects of wellness has an impact, unless of course you are totally spiritual and you are not bothered. But if you want to maintain the kind of lifestyle that you want, it becomes important. Now, coming to the women aspect of it, I think women by nature, we are extremely good when it comes to handling cash. Now, take any household, look at the household budgets, irrespective of, if it has to be managed in a shoestring budget or if they have a good leeway as well, the woman is capable of managing it really well. And look at the negotiation skills a woman brings about. See the way a woman bargains while even doing a grocery shopping or anything. So I think women are extremely well wired when it comes to managing finance. So it makes it all the more important that if especially a woman is looking at financial independence or wants to lead the kind of life that she really wants to and dreams. I think that is what makes it important. So look at the goddess of wealth. We know is Lakshmi, right? So why is it given to a woman? Because I think women know how to manage the money better. So that is what makes it important. So like I said, I'm on mission. I really want to see how not just women, but everybody, businesses especially, how they can grow financially, and so that's why I focus on finance aspect, high performance, as well as leadership. Because if you notice, all of them are linked, and I say that leadership drives high performance, and high performance is what leads to high profits. So for a woman to be on top of the world and know how to manage her finance, it comes naturally, it is automatic. All that a woman needs to do is to kind of tune into that space, and I think everything will go really well.
Beautiful. Thanks for that opening remark, Sangeeta. And I will ask the same question to Shweta. Shweta wears many hats, from psychologist, life coach, theater, radio artist, traveler, writer, but I think the biggest hat that she wears is that of a spiritual seeker, as she calls it. And yes, that's what she told me when she introduced me to herself to me. And she's been into this space for the last 25 years. She's also taken sannyas, but she's still a very worldly person, is what I know of her. Right? And she's also been into various types of healing, past type regression, hypnosis, aura reading, and energy reader. So, Shweta, the same question to you: how can you be spiritual and be worldly at the same time?
Okay, thank you very much, Nandita. Thank you. It was amazing listening to everybody. I think it's there's a term called Zorba the Buddha. So let's be Buddhas in the marketplace. Let's be Buddha in a Louis Vuitton store. Let's be Buddha in a Zara showroom. Why not? So why does spirituality means leaving everything? So I think as spirituality for me is balancing, how you can balance yourself, your inner self, in a Zara store or a diamond store or buying a Lamborghini or leaving everything as well. How you find that connection and why you need to look inward. I think that is what is extremely important, and especially during this time. And also otherwise, women tend to neglect. They all want to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, yes, want the money, want designer clothes, but they don't look into their souls. And that's a little disconnect I have. Very few women keep their spirituality or that quotient on the top priority, and I think that's very important to have a connect to your own soul. Spirituality is all about having that connect to your own soul. When you know your soul, it may take years, but if you have that connect, I think everything else becomes beautiful and easy.
Beautiful. So I'm going to go a little deeper with you a little later. We have Dr. Geeta with us. So Dr. Geeta, would you like to throw some light on how important is it to be physically healthy? I think that is the most taken for granted thing, and women do neglect their personal health most of the time. So what are your
Yeah, coming to the women's health, they neglect themselves most, especially so the Indian women. They have all the priorities like family, everything, husband, children, and all, but they neglect their health. Now, this is not in the rural women or uneducated women. Even the educated women, even the women leaders, they do neglect their health. I have seen the women Even the cabinet ministers' wives coming in the late stages because of the just because of the negligence. Not that they are not aware of that some disease is existing. They are aware of it. Something is wrong with them, but they neglect them till it is something pains them or it is intolerable to them. Coming to that, actually the disease pattern has changed. Like independence time 40 years ago, there is lot of people used to die of infectious diseases and a lot of cholera, typhoid, TB and all. Now we are not hearing that. Of course, infection now that after COVID and all this is also infectious disease, but till now that is a different scenario. But we infectious disease. But the main problem now is the lifestyle. Very good session on well-being, because if you well-being, we had to concentrate on lifestyle. All these diseases, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, stroke, and cancer, everything is a lifestyle problem which we create for ourselves. So especially so women actually, men go for walking in the morning, but women has no time for going walking at all. So women don't concentrate on well-being or fitness or anything. And also most common cancers which is killing diseases now for women are breast cancer and gynecological cancers, which are totally, some are preventable and some are early detected. If you do a screening, simple. Whenever I do enter the women's forum on health, I always tell them that now mammography, now we are not getting any saree or dress for less than 3,000. Will you accept or not? So forgive one dress or one saree and go for checkup. Many lives will be saved. Many women's lives in the few years of the life, when the children are young and when the family are young, it is nipped in the bud, because they're coming in advanced stages, and younger the age, the aggressive cancers are very aggressive. So we are losing the women. Just if they concentrate little bit on their health and well-being and get the regular screening done, just mammography a year after 40 years and ultrasound a year, it will save many of these. Cervical cancer is the most killing cancer in the Indian women, and still one cancer, which is totally a preventable disease. Totally.
Yeah. So, Dr. Geeta, my thing is, during these, for any stressful situation, I'm not taking COVID in particular, I would like you to just throw some light on how women can take care of themselves on a physical level, so that they are more powerful and they are more competent to deal with the outside world, and also handle a lot of stress that comes into them being a part of this.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Actually, it's a very good question. Women has to take care of themselves, especially so the Indian women, especially so, because I have seen women across all walks of life in India who neglect themselves in their health issue. Not that they are not aware; they are aware. They are aware of everything outside, what saree they wear, what jewelry they put, and all. But they are not bothered about what is happening inside their body. Even they neglect themselves, and only they come in late stages. Even educated women, that what hurts us, because we see women coming, young women which was well educated and all, coming in breast lump which is 5 centimeter. Is it acceptable? Which is if you yearly mammography, we can detect in 0.5, 0.2, 0.3 millimeters, in 2 millimeters lump we can detect. Coming to the 5 cent, like a lemon, big lemon or apple size lump, they come after once it's spreading to the all over the body. So we really feel depressed seeing such women who are educated, who are they are aware that something like cancer is existing and it can affect any woman, but they neglect themselves. That I thought that my son's exam will be over. And I thought that some marriage in the family is over. My daughter's marriage, after my daughter's marriage, I thought I will get it done.
So I'll move on from here,
When you are
Dr. Geeta,
alive,
and
only you can
pass.
do all those things.
Very true. So I'll move on from here to Ruchi right now. Ruchi, passing on the same thing to you, we neglect taking care of ourselves. And when Dr. Geeta is talking more in terms of physical health, Dr. Mishma, can we mute Dr. Geeta, please? Would that be possible again? Dr. Mishma, thank you. Uh, Ruchi, I'm moving on to you. We ignore not only our physical health, like you said, it's energy in motion. And how important is it to be emotionally? You said it is important for us to be right. But do we also ignore emotional health? And how can we, during any situation, especially the any crisis, and currently, and crisis is anything right now, right? Anything that puts stress on us. How do we handle our emotions? And what are some of the things that you would recommend for women to be more emotionally strong? Because if you want to go and conquer the world outside, we need to conquer what is going on inside us.
Nandita, should I just wait for?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead. All right, lovely. So let's just understand one thing. When I say emotional well-being or emotionally fit, like we say, it doesn't mean to always be in a very positive state. It doesn't mean that all the time I'm going to be very enthusiastic, very happy, very joyous. I'm going to be in this constant state. It's not about that. It's about being aware and becoming very, very sensitive to myself when I am experiencing a negative emotion. So now what happens when I become aware of myself? Because it's not about controlling our emotions, it is about managing our emotions. So, when we talk about any kind of emotions, and usually when we say that, emotional well-being is not there, we refer to negative emotions being larger than the positive emotions. Okay, so what are we looking at doing over here? We are not saying that you will be in a complete blissful state or a happy state all the time. It is about knowing and being very aware that I am experiencing a negative emotion. How do I become more regulatory of this emotion? How am I going to manage my emotion better rather than saying I'm going to control my emotion? Because emotions that we try and control, or in other words, we try and brush it under the carpet and we fake it and we say, Acha, no, I'm controlling my anger very well. No, that doesn't work. It's not about brushing the emotion away. It's about becoming very aware and then regulating it and then managing it better. That is what emotional well-being is all about. Now, quickly looking at some tips on how can we manage our emotions better. The first thing that I feel is the manner in which you start your day can really set your mood for the rest of the day. So starting your day on a note, and because I've been doing so much of work on gratitude right now, starting your day on a simple exercise like writing down in your gratitude diary simple things that you're grateful for. The very fact that you have woken up to a morning itself is something that you need to be grateful for, because a lot of people don't even wake up to a morning. They just die in their sleep at night. So starting your day on a note of gratitude. Now, we've done it as children, when we've woken up and we've said a small prayer in the morning and then we start our day. But this is about now writing it down, because there's a lot of research that shows that happiness is associated with gratitude. So the more gratitude you have, the more happy you are going to be. So starting your day on a note of gratitude, which is like energizing yourself. So imagine yourself like a battery and a phone, and the battery needs to be charged every day. So what do you do to charge this battery? And you want to charge it with something positive first thing in the morning. And that is what you do when you start your day on a note of gratitude. When you are faced with a situation which is not so resourceful. So suppose you are, you encounter something as simple as you walk in and you see your child's room completely messy, and you've just come back from a long day at work, and there's no dinner on the table, the dishes are still there, the everyday stuff that can get us very irritated. Now that is the moment to take a pause, at that moment and say, what can I do right now so that I show my anger, or I manage my anger so that I get a result that I want. Otherwise, if I'm going to start screaming at my child, start screaming at my spouse, at my house help, I'm anyway not going to get the result, because then it's going to become a match between my spouse and me, or my child and me, or my maid and me. It's not going to be something that I want. If I calm myself down at that moment, and as simple as drinking a glass of water, counting backwards from 10 to 1, taking 3 deep breaths, just these small things can just calm you down for a second. And then once you're in a calmer state, you can have a more resourceful communication with the person in front. So you can ask your child very politely. I'm not saying it's easy, but let me tell you, it is very doable. It is very, very doable when you ask your child and say, you know what, I've just come back from a long day at work, and seeing your room in a mess is really not helping me. Instead of screaming out the same thing. Communication begins when we are in a space to talk and to listen. And maybe your child has a genuine reason. Maybe the online classes were all over the place. Maybe there was that the child did not.
I think we've lost Ruchi there. But what I gather, go ahead, Ruchi.
I think we all had a lost connection for a second. So what basically I'm trying to say over here, and I'll quickly call it a wrap, is that you need to understand how you manage your emotions when you are faced with a situation which is testing you of yourself. And once you know how to manage, it's not about controlling, it's only about managing. So you tone down your anger, you bring it down. But whereas emotions which are positive, you make them even more, you amplify it. And how do you amplify the emotion? By adding gratitude, by exaggerating. So happy things, talk more about it. Things that are not working out, don't entertain yourself to pity parties and stay out of them. So that's the only thing I would say. Both positive and negative emotions, exaggerate your positive ones. The negative ones, tone them down. And that's when you will reach your in-between stage of managing your emotion, becoming aware and then regulating them. That's the only key that I would like to leave you guys on. Thank you.
Ruchi, so you're saying it's absolutely okay to be angry at times, and it is absolutely okay not to be in a state of bliss and pretend that you're happy when you are actually unhappy. And the key is communication. So that, I think, would lead us to Aparna's topic, which talks about why people get mentally, face mental issues is because they stop communicating. Am I right, Aparna? So they stop, they hold on to an emotion, they don't want to talk about it, and they want to project a very nice goody image, and that's where mental health is. The start point of mental health is what I read. So Aparna, would you like to throw more light on that, continuing from what Ruchi said?
Yeah, so like what she said, I mean, I think she's covered most of the points on emotional well-being and how to take on each day. But then, like I said in my introduction, if I could just throw light on the mental first aid that we need to kind of very closely watch, we would understand patterns and discrepancies in our own behavioral, structures that we exhibit every single day. So this whatever WHO is called an ALGE method. It's ALGEE. It's very, top of the recall kind of abbreviation that you can hold on to. So ALGE is where the first one where you understand yourself, how differently you are behaving, maybe not just one day, but over a period of, let's say, 10 or 15 days. And that approach in your behavioral style, difference in your style, it can be your approach towards your people at home. You're frustrated, you're aggressive, you're shouting on top of your voice, like what Ruchi said. There are times when I would not want to shout, yet I am shouting. So I know that I don't want to do it, but yet I am doing it. So these are early signs and symptoms that you need to kind of very closely keep a watch on, not just on you, but also with people who might be going through such distress. So it has to be like something like very personal journey along with somebody who you are living with, where you can have a first hand observatory note on what is happening to that person. So when you watch such difference in approach in your behavioral style, the next is to find a person who you can listen. You can talk where you feel that the person will listen to you. Now, for me, my go-to person is Shweta. Now, when I know that there is a problem, then I know there is a person. So you need to have that go-to person. You can also be that listener to another person. But then you need to, without judgment, without prejudices, listen to a person who is going through. He or she might not be going through distress per se, but there is something that is troubling them. Let's give that time to patiently listen to that person. Let us also take that time to talk and be there for a person. So first is approach, second is listen, the third is where you give information. Now, like Ruchi said, I might be shouting just because everything is a mess at home. So that is not mental distress, or that is not leading you to any depression. So you can have a person who would very patiently sit you down and then tell you that this is one of those days. You can't term that as a mental distress. So you can also understand what the reason is for your own behavioral change. You can also make the other person understand why he or she is behaving such by giving the right information or cues. May not be the right approach, may not be always helpful. That is when you understand that it is time to call for external support. So after approach, after listening to a person or making a person listen to you, the next is where you give information or take information. And the fourth step is where you encourage external support, which is the E. Now, before you encourage external support is where you understand whether this palpitations, anxieties, tendencies of, not wanting to live or self-hurt is actually creeping in. By which time you would have gone through at least 3 or 4 weeks of having felt the same, or not wanting to feel energetic, or not wanting to have conversations, or not wanting to meet people. So that is when you realize that you need to get external help, or you ask the other person to get external help if the other person is going through the same. And after that is the most important thing, where you encourage the person to go through their treatment and still keep them close to you. The last E is the most important thing, because that is something that is very, very lacking because of the taboo attached after you visit a mental health practitioner. So if we can actually monitor these signs and symptoms, the first aid part is taken care of. Like how you would not run to a physician when you have a cold and a cough, you do your own Vicks treatment and then your own paracetamol treatment before you reach out to a physician. These are the early steps that you can actually practice at home. But these steps need to be done very passionately, genuinely, and sincerely in the hope of helping the other person or helping yourself. Now, you can't have blame games in this bargain. You can't pinpoint saying that, okay, now I am sure you're acting it because you want to be away from your responsibilities. These are things that, women come to us and then share with us, because there are husbands who would blame, saying that, okay, you are acting because you don't want to be responsible at home. So unless you have that support where you are given that due importance and your mental health is of prime, importance in that home, it is a very difficult journey when you are bombarded with issues that are not always explainable. Mental issues are not always something that you can explain in words to another person. Only a person who is going through it, who is feeling or experiencing it, knows it well. So I think if we can all practice this algae and be there for the other person when you find symptoms and early signs. You can have people who call up and say, Eda, for last 10 days I've been feeling very low. 10 days feeling low is a matter of concern. 2 days feeling low is not a matter of concern. It can be because of the gloomy weather outside. It can just be because of that. So 10 to 15 days of not wanting to get up from bed, not wanting to socialize. Socialize can just mean that picking a call and talking to a person. To that extent. Yeah. So, and 10 days of not wanting to eat on time. These are early signs of, needing to talk to a person, needing to listen to a person, or reaching out for help. I think this should kind of make people understand if they're going through, certain things, now whatever they've listened to, and if they feel that, okay, now they have symptoms and signs of whatever they've listened to now, then I am sure they would know where they stand in that 5-step first aid procedure.
So, just two questions there which come to my mind when I'm talking, and this is for the benefit of everyone. Do you need to be qualified to be able to listen to a friend? Because you said the keywords were non-judgmental and listen for concern and empathy. So, do you have to be a qualified practitioner to do the first 2-3 steps, or
Not at
you
all.
can reach out to any friend?
The only qualification that you need is not to be judgmental. I don't think you need to go to any B school or psychology classes to not be judgmental and prejudiced. So I think just be human enough to be genuine in your way of communication. At times you don't even have to reciprocate. You just need to listen patiently and silently. I mean,
Sure.
they just need a bouncing board there. They just need a listening board there. And there are people, and if you think that you need to give them answers, then you're not the right listener.
Beautiful.
I mean, don't do more damage than what they are going through at the moment. If you feel that you can't handle it, then just don't. I would say don't even begin.
Okay, so that was a very useful piece of information, Aparna, for us to say we can reach out provided we have an intention to listen to the person and not be judgmental and be there. So moving on to a very, very different. Oh, I'm going to move to Shweta right now because I see a linkage there right now to what Shweta said. Shweta, how important is it to then know yourself and know who you are and be soulful, as you said, to be able to handle these things and thanks to COVID, I think all of us are under tremendous pressure, tremendous stress, and I think what Tapana said, the stress is not for 2-3 days, it's been going on for 7-6 months. So how do you handle all this, and what would be your suggestions for people to be emotionally strong, mentally strong, and I say spiritually strong to be handling these kind of issues?
Nandita, notice routine and Aparna did give us tips to understand, right? So with the tips, if I consider it like in my bag, I've kept all these tips with me. The moment I stand and look in the mirror, and I'm sure no one's mirror lies, and if you can really look through it, you would be able to see. I think Ruchi was mentioning that if you're not fine, be true to yourself. Yes, I'm not all right. But I like what Aparna said. Most of us are not ready to listen to that. If I call somebody and people ask me for the heck of it, how are you? And I say, I'm not okay. But the other person is not ready for that answer. So before going till that space, I want all of us, whether it's men, women, children, to look and find out how are you. So one quick, simple exercise one can do in couple of days or 2-3 days is you stand in front of the mirror and ask, how are you? To yourself, take your name and ask, Shweta, how are you? And talk to yourself. It's so beautiful to talk to oneself. I always do that. I'm saying, yes, a lot of people find that very, very, they find I've really gone cuckoo, and that's okay. I don't care. But no, this ask, because, here you can answer yourself. And be honest and authentic. If something is bothering you, like Ruchi said, how you can manage it, like Aparna said, you can speak to a friend. And I'm very blessed to have friends who I can speak to and they can speak to me. But at least look. Most of us are very scared, Nandita, to just look. And I think half of our problems, especially spiritual problems, what is spirituality? It is
I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, it's balancing. It's being aware of who I am. Right now, I am in this moment 100%. Yes, I know my son has ordered food. I can hear. I went there for a second, but I came back. I'm here right now 100%. Being aware of your mental, emotional, and spiritual side. At least find out how am I. Emotionally, if I'm down and out, all right. Then you can look at why you are and what's happening. So what one can do, another simple thing is, like, as I said, it's very simple spirituality, no big jargons. Just be aware of your own soul. My eye is hurting, so I go to an eye specialist. When my soul hurts, where do I go? I don't go. I don't even know what happens when the soul hurts. What kind of term is that? So connected. So a simple thing one can do is, if you have a very, very tied up day, you can take just 30 seconds. Even if you don't have 30 seconds, take 10 seconds. Close your eyes, breathe in and breathe out. Just feel yourself. Can you feel your feet? Can you feel your toes and fingers? And are they there? Yeah, feel yourself. Just come to that moment. You can do this while walking. Don't do this while driving, but you can do this while walking and just come back. Yes, there is anger. I'm upset. Ruchi gave a very beautiful example when you walk in. Yes, you're angry. You want to scream your lungs out. Breathe in. Close your eyes. Breathe in. Come to your center. And once you breathe in and you relax, you would automatically know. Yes, it comes through practice. Yes, a lot of people do meditation, different type of meditation. I would say, best meditation is to wash vessels, to clean your toilets, to scrub your toilets. What is meditation? Meditation is not about chanting. Meditation, that's a different way of doing it. Meditation is just to being there. Why don't, when a lot of women and men I know who get upset, I've heard them, they clean up their wardrobes or clean vessels. When I was in the ashram, I used to clean toilets. And I told them, I said, I want to clean toilets because I thought I was cleansing the dirt and the mess of my whole self. So clean, wash your car, clean up. That is one of the most beautiful meditation. Dance, that is meditation. Sing, that is meditation. If you can go out and if you have trees, go and hug a tree. That is meditation. You don't necessarily have to have a mudra and, burn sage. That is, it all adds. But simple meditation, laugh loudly. If you can scream, scream it out. Scream it out for a minute. And if you can't, lot many times, you have so much of stress, especially when people have a lot of stress and they have you have live show and you're feeling very stressful, you can't scream, go to the bathroom and, it's like if you mute yourself, you scream. So all you're doing is you're pumping up your energy and you're ready to burst into a scream, but soundless. So you put in all the effort, get into that mode, and then leave it. You would see sudden gush of energy coming in. And then it will all come down. These are very small techniques to keep yourself spiritually balanced, aware of yourself.
And I think this would lead to your calming of emotions, handling stress situations, and of course, handling kids and husband at home, parents at home, work, mother-in-law, friends, everybody. I think that's beautifully said, Shweta. So I think, with Ruchi, Aparna, and Shweta telling us how to maintain our cool when things are not right with us, those were some of the tips. But I come back to Sangeeta here. When the moolah is not there, we cannot be the Buddha, right? I need my Lamborghini. I need my basics in life, and I need my desires also to be fulfilled. So, what are some of the things that you would tell women in particular? Like you said, they're amazing at saving money. They're good money managers. Some things that they can live their own dreams. Something that what they should do and what they should not do. Sangeeta.
Yeah, so let me start off by saying what they should not do because by eliminating that, you know what you need to be doing. So
Okay.
I call this the 7 sins of managing finance. So what are the 7 sins? First thing, depending only on a single source of income. So for example, if you're a salaried person and then you're looking upon only the salary as your source of income, these are uncertain times. And if you lose your job, or the company not doing well during these times, then your source of income gets impacted, and therefore it becomes important for you to have multiple sources of revenue. Now you could do something alongside, or you can ensure that you have some passive income coming in, or interest income, royalty income, dividend income, I mean various kinds of income. But it's essential that for your vehicle to keep moving, you need to have multiple sources of revenue. Second thing, you know, like Warren Buffett says, first you put your savings, and then is when the expenses comes. So the second sin is not following savings first, right? And then the expenses. Because if you put aside your savings first, then you know what is the amount that you're left with that you can spend. So essential to do savings first and then your expenses. The third is what I call the impulsive spending. A lot of times, we see something, either we've gone shopping or see something online also, and we just in a jiffy, yes, I like this, I want to buy it. That's fine, but not when you're pressed for cash. So therefore, you must know what is the right thing for you to be buying, or that's why I said put your savings first, and then with the balance, you could play around. The fourth sin, I would say, is poor or no financial planning. Not knowing how to plan the finances, just going with the flow. Going with the flow is fine, but not when it comes to your money matters. Now, if you want to really be careful about your money and handle it, you need to kind of plan, right? At least an overall level to say, what is it that I want to achieve? Set your financial goals and work towards them. So therefore, the fourth sin is poor or no financial planning. The fifth is not building enough cash reserves. Especially during times like these, cash reserves is what is very important. Now, if you're pressed for cash and you don't know how to go about managing, then if you have cash reserves, that is what is going to come in handy. So I always insist, be it your business or your personal life, wherever, it's essential for you to have your own cash reserves and make them as liquid reserves, so that if there's an emergency, you can always get the money. Because you may have in the form of real estate or something like that, but then the liquidity aspect comes into play, so it's better to have some liquid reserves as well. The sixth sin is taking loans, but loans that do not build to your wealth, or they do not increase your income in the long term. So what happens, you are burdened with the monthly EMIs and then the interest component as well. But what does it really yield for you? Nothing significant, because the money just goes away. That's why I say it's essential to differentiate between a good loan and a bad loan. A good loan is something that helps your money to multiply and grow, whereas a bad loan is something that does not help you build wealth, or does not allow your income to increase further. So essential for you to differentiate between a good loan and the bad loan. The seventh sin is investment. Now, investment is by and large a good thing, but then when you invest more in depreciating assets rather than appreciating assets, that becomes the seventh sin. What is the difference between an appreciating asset and a depreciating asset? An appreciating asset, like the name says, keeps appreciating in value, and a depreciating asset keeps depreciating. Like, for example, if you were to buy a new car, and say for whatever reasons, if you have to sell it within 2 to 3 months, would you get the same amount or something close to it? No. Why is that? Because of the depreciation factor. So learn to be wise between what is your asset that's depreciating and what is your asset that's appreciating. So invest wisely to see which are your assets that will keep appreciating. So let me just summarize quickly the 7 deadly sins of finance. First, depending only on a single source of income. Second, not following savings first and then the expenses. Third, impulsive spending. Fourth, poor or no financial management. Fifth, not building enough liquid reserves. Sixth, not differentiating between a good loan and a bad loan. And lastly, investing more in depreciating assets rather than appreciating assets. So that is what I wanted to share from my side.
So you're saying no to that Lamborghini which I was planning to buy. So
No,
Sangeeta.
no. You could get that Lamborghini provided you have sufficient cash. So if you've made the enough money, enough moolah for you to go and splurge, go ahead because there's nothing that's stopping you. So once you think you're financially fit, then go ahead. Otherwise, if you're caught up with something or if you're not prioritizing your financial goals, then it becomes a problem. Like for instance, you want to, let's say, have your own dream house, assuming that house appreciates better than your Lamborghini. You need to prioritize which is more important. So it's as simple as that, and working towards your financial goals.
Beautiful. So thank you, Sangeeta, for those words of wisdom. We would like to close the session now. So Sangeeta, I'll start with you now. Your 30 seconds as the closing remark. And we'll make it quick and only 30 seconds. Yeah.
Right. So I would say go with the principle of essentialism. So prioritize what is most important for you, and with the art of prioritization comes your financial wisdom, and you can plan and work towards it. So be wise with your money matters.
Thank you, Sangeeta. We move on to Aparna for her words, her closing statement.
I think the closing statement should be that COVID times, and we know we are traveling through uncertain times, and it's not something that we can fight alone. So it's only together we can stand and pass through these tough times. At the same time, giving absolute importance to your mental health, like how oncologist doctor said, how we neglect our physical health, we've also been neglecting our mental health. So as much as physical health is important, mental and emotional health is equally or more important, and it's high time we realize that. And we also have a support system that we hold close to, and we also believe in them, trust in them, and find that person, that buddy who you can reach out to at any point in time or day, and that's most important.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Aparna. Ruchi, your closing remarks, please. Ruchi, you're mute.
I would say just be aware. Just be aware of your emotions. It's absolutely fine to once in a while have your negative emotions. Just don't succumb to it for a longer period of time. Just become very, very aware of how am I feeling. Like Shweta said, ask yourself this question. How am I doing today? What am I feeling at this moment? So just become very, very aware of your emotions, both negative and positive. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Ruchi. And Shweta, your closing remarks.
So celebrate the Buddha inside you. And I'm sure there is every day is an enlightenment waiting for you. And I think we should not even wait. We should just live the enlightenment. So celebrate the Buddha and smile with the Buddha inside you. I think that is, Buddha is not far-fetched. He's not somewhere there. And enlightenment or nirvana or spiritual wellness is not far. It's right here. So the moment you smile.
Thank you, Shweta, Aparna, Ruchi, and Sangeeta for coming and sharing your words of wisdom. I'm sure there were a lot of takeaways for women, so we need to be aware of ourselves. We need to find the Buddha within. We also need to follow the very simple thing that Sangeeta said. Essentialism is the key, and we need to have a very sound system of friends and people around us. Like Dr. Geeta said, reach out for your tests and everything on time rather than spending 3,000 on a sari. Go for a health checkup. So, thank you so much for coming in here, and it was a pleasure having you all on this event today with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandita. I think it was a fantastic event for all of us. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity too.
Thank you, Nandita. You did a great job of moderating the panel, and thanks to the other panelists. It was fantastic hearing wisdom from everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. It was what a pleasure. Sangeeta, you sing very well, yeah?
Can I take a picture if everyone is there?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure. And please share.
I've taken one. I've taken a screenshot.
So with this, we will take a break for a minute, and then we will be back with a very, very exciting session post this break. So stay tuned. Do not go away. Thank you so much, and over to you, Dr. Mishra.